I thought I was saving a girl with depression. She played the part of a patient perfectly, and I threw myself headfirst into the role of her savior. Liam, it's another one of those days I wish I wasn't here. I'd text with her late into the night, every night, until the day I saw the playful, knowing glint in her eyes. Liam, she said, I think it's my turn to save you. I thought I was the one doing the rescuing. Turns out, I was the one who needed it most. Hashtag, my name is Liam Carter. I'm 25, a software engineer, and hopelessly single. If you had to write a bio for my life, it would go something like this. Spends his days coding until his eyes blur, his nights scrolling on his phone until they burn, and his weekends rotting away in his apartment. But recently, I found a new purpose in life, saving a girl with depression I met online. It all started 3 months ago. I was scrolling through a mental health support forum when I saw a post from a user named Echoes in the Rain. It read, "Another day, I wish I wasn't here. Is there anyone out there willing to just listen?" As a guy with an overdeveloped sense of justice, I slid into her DMs without a second thought. Hey, I'm Liam. I know we're strangers, but I'm here to listen if you need to talk. To my surprise, she replied instantly. Really? You don't think I'd be a bother? Of course not. Everyone hits a rough patch. Sometimes just talking about it helps. And just like that, I began my digital crusade. Echoes in the Rain's real name was Chloe Davis. She was 21, a senior in college. According to her, she was battling moderate depression, fighting a war against her own mind every single day. And I became the light in her life, the one who texted her every day, offering guidance and encouragement. Liam, I feel like giving up again today, was her signature line. Hey, don't do that, became my standard reply. If you gave up, who would I get to talk to? I'd actually miss that. Hashtag too, for 3 solid months. I spent at least 3 hours a day talking to her. Our conversations spanned from good morning texts to good night calls, from the mundane details of her day to the grand philosophies of life. We talked about everything. I'd recommend movies I thought she'd like, and she'd watch them, and we'd dissect the plot for hours. I'd send her funny memes, and she'd reply with a string of laughing emojis. I taught her how to make a simple spaghetti sauce from scratch, and she'd send me a picture of the finished product. Slowly, the tone of her messages started to change. They became lighter. The talk of wanting to disappear faded, replaced by moments of genuine happiness she wanted to share. Liam, the weather was beautiful today, so I went out and got a bubble tea. I remembered you said it was liquid happiness, and I actually smiled. Liam, I started a conversation with my roommate today, and she said I seem so much more cheerful lately. Liam, thank you. I don't think I would have made it this far without you. Watching her get better day by day filled me with an incredible sense of accomplishment. I felt like a superhero who had saved a lost soul. My friends all said I was an idiot, pouring so much time and energy into a stranger I'd never even met. But to me, it was worth it. Helping someone find their way out of the darkness felt better than writing a perfect line of code. Until the day everything changed. Hashtag 3 Liam, I want to meet you. I was working late at the office when the message popped up on my screen. The words made my heart hammer against my ribs. In 3 months, we had never met in person. We'd never even had a voice call. She claimed she had a terrible voice and was too shy for phone calls. She never sent any selfies, saying she wasn't pretty and was afraid she'd scare me off. But now, she was the one asking to meet. For real? Are you sure you're ready for that? I typed back, my fingers trembling slightly. Yeah, I think it's time. And there are some things I want to tell you in person. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop in downtown Seattle. I got there an hour early, my palms sweating with nerves. In my mind, Chloe was this fragile, delicate girl, maybe a little worn down by her fight with depression. I had even rehearsed a whole speech of encouragement, ready to be her real-life cheerleader. At 2 o'clock, the bell on the coffee shop door chimed, and then I saw her. Chloe, or at least the girl who called herself Chloe, was nothing like I had imagined. She was about 5'5", wearing a simple white sundress that complemented her long, dark hair. Her skin was clear, her features sharp and beautiful. But the most striking thing was her eyes. They held a playful, knowing glint. There wasn't a trace of depression in them, not a single shadow. She walked straight to my table, sat down, and grinned. You must be Liam. I'm Chloe. You're really Chloe? I stammered. The one and only, she said with a wink. Not what you were expecting? A little. You look really healthy. Healthy? She let out a small laugh. Liam, did you think everyone with depression is supposed to look pale and lifeless, on the verge of tears at any moment? My face flushed. She'd read me like a book. The thing is, she continued, leaning forward, I don't have depression. What? I nearly shot out of my chair. Whoa, calm down. Let me explain. She held up a hand. 3 months ago, I really was in a terrible place. I posted on that forum just to vent, not really expecting anything. But then I met you, this incredibly kind-hearted guy. My head was spinning. So, you've been lying to me this whole time. Not exactly a lie, she explained. At first, I was genuinely miserable, and your comfort and companionship helped me more than you know. But then what? Then I realized how much you seemed to enjoy playing the savior. She looked me straight in the eye. Every time I said I wanted to give up, you become so engaged, so determined to cheer me up. Every time I showed a little improvement, you were ecstatic. So I thought, if you love being the hero this much, I might as well keep playing the part. I was speechless, but her tone softened. While I was playing along, I noticed something. What? That you need saving more than I ever did. I need saving, I repeated, completely baffled. What are you talking about? I'm fine. Chloe ordered a latte and stirred it slowly. Liam, what time do you usually get off work? Depends. Usually 8 or 9. Later if there's a deadline. And what do you do when you get home? Eat dinner, and then talk to you. Weekends, stay home, go grocery shopping sometimes. The rest of the time, I'm talking to you. What about hanging out with friends? I don't really do that much. It's kind of hassle. Dating? No time. Haven't met anyone. Chloe looked at me, her eyes filled with an emotion I couldn't quite place. Liam, have you noticed that, outside of work, your entire life has become me? I froze. You know, she went on, for the last 3 months, you've spent at least 3 hours a day talking to me. Without fail. On weekends, when you were sick, even after working a 12-hour day. That's because you needed me. No, she said, her words piercing straight through my defenses. It's because you needed to be needed. You loved the feeling of being someone's lifeline, of feeling important. But the truth is, you were using me to run away from your own loneliness. I wanted to argue, but the words wouldn't come. Because she was right. For the last 3 months, talking to her had become the anchor of my life. Not because I had some grand, altruistic mission, but because it made me feel necessary. It gave my empty life a sense of meaning. So, I said with a bitter smile, you're here to expose what a fraud I am? No, she shook her head. I'm here to actually save you. Save me, yes. Save you from your loneliness. Save you from this half-life, and help you start really living. She reached across the table and gently took my hand. Liam, will you let me try? Her hand was warm, soft. In that moment, I felt something inside me start to melt. But why would you do this? Because, she smiled, and it was brighter than the spring sun. Somewhere in those 3 months you spent saving me, I fell in love with you. You what? I was sure I'd misheard her. I said I fell in love with you. Chloe repeated, a faint blush on her cheeks, but her gaze unwavering. You might have started out trying to be my hero, but your kindness, your patience, your gentleness, that was all real. You stayed up late with me every night. You remembered every little thing I told you. You comforted me when I was down and celebrated with me when I was happy. You can't fake that, can you? I shook my head. My concern for her had always been genuine. Well, my feelings for you are real too. She squeezed my hand. I don't even know when it started. Maybe it was the first time you sacrificed sleep to talk to me. Maybe it was when you recommended that incredibly heartwarming movie. Or maybe it was when you said, if you gave up, who would I get to talk to? I could feel my face getting hot. But a guy like me, am I really worth all that? You dummy, she said, reaching over and gently poking my forehead. You think I'd fall for just anyone? So, what does this make us? That's up to you. She gave me that playful wink again. Liam Carter, will you be my boyfriend? My heart was pounding like a drum. Of course. Yes, but I have 0 experience with relationships. I'm probably going to be terrible at it. Don't worry, she said with a mischievous grin. I'll teach you. And just like that, Chloe and I started dating. But it was nothing at all like I had imagined. ###6. For our first date, she took me to an amusement park. Liam, how long has it been since you've just gone out and had fun? She asked, pulling me through the crowd by my hand. A couple of years, I guess. 2 years. Her eyes went wide. No wonder you look so out of your element. Come on, we're starting with the Ferris wheel. I have a crippling fear of heights, but seeing how excited she was, I couldn't bring myself to say no. Sure enough, as our car climbed higher, my palms started slicking with sweat. What's wrong? You look pale, she asked, concerned. I'm a little afraid of heights, I admitted in a small voice. She didn't laugh at me. Instead, she gently took my arm and pulled it close. It's okay. Just look at me. Don't look down. In that moment, the warmth from her body seemed to chase away the fear. You know, she said softly, everyone's afraid of something. That's normal. The important thing is having someone by your side when you face it. ###7. For our second date, she took me to a karaoke bar. I can't sing, I confessed immediately. So what? It's not a competition, she said, shoving a microphone into my hand. Come on, sing a cheesy pop duet with me. We sang our hearts out. I was horribly off-key, but she just kept encouraging me, telling me I had a great voice. You know, you have a really nice smile, Liam, she said later, resting her head on my shoulder. I do. You do. You should use it more often. For our third date, she decided we should learn to cook a real meal together. A good boyfriend knows how to cook for his girlfriend, she announced, tying on an apron like a seasoned pro. But I burn toast. It's fine. I'll teach you. We'll start with something simple. That day, we made pot roast. I nearly sliced my finger off while chopping carrots and managed to set off the smoke alarm. But the final result was surprisingly delicious. See? Doesn't that feel good? She asked, beaming. Yeah, I nodded enthusiastically. I never knew cooking could be this fun. Exactly. There are so many amazing things in life you just haven't discovered yet. ###8. A month later, I realized I had changed. The old me lived a life that shuttled between work and home, convinced the outside world had nothing to offer. The new me looked forward to weekends, excited to explore every corner of the city with Chloe. We went to museums, where she would patiently explain the history behind each exhibit. We fed pigeons in the park, and she would laugh with the delight of a child. We spent hours in bookstores, where she introduced me to genres I'd never have picked up on my own. You've changed so much lately, Liam, she said one evening as we were walking along the waterfront. How so? You used to walk with your head down, like you were lost in some deep, dark thought. Now, you actually notice the flowers on the side of the path. You'll stop to pet a dog. You see things. I thought about it and realized she was right. Also, she continued, you're starting to care about what you wear. You even got a new haircut. I self-consciously ran a hand through my hair. Well, I wanted to look good for you. You always look good to me, silly. What I mean is, you're starting to take care of yourself. You're starting to love yourself. She stopped walking and looked at me seriously. The old you put all your focus on other people because you never knew how to focus on yourself. The new you is learning what it actually means to live. I finally understood. This past month wasn't just about dating. It was about me rediscovering myself, about learning how to live all over again. So, I said, taking her hand, you really did save me. I didn't save you, she said, shaking her head with a smile. You saved yourself. I just gave you a little push. When I got home that night, I looked at myself in the mirror for a long time. It was the same face, but the eyes were different. Before, they were filled with a kind of resignation, a quiet confusion. Now, there was a light in them. There was hope. I pulled out my phone and sent Chloe a text. Chloe, thank you. She replied instantly. For what? For helping me find myself again. For helping me fall in love with life. So how are you going to repay me? Winky face. I thought for a moment. How about I spend the rest of my life making you happy? That's it. And I'll love you for the rest of my life. Barely passing. She teased, sending a winking emoji, followed by another message. Actually, Liam, I should be thanking you too. For what? Thank you for showing me how happy loving someone can be. Reading that, I couldn't help but smile. Yeah, loving someone could make you this happy. 2 months into our relationship, I was convinced I was a dating expert. I sent her good morning texts and called her every night. I memorized all her little quirks, how she loved bubble tea, but with half the sugar, how she was terrified of cockroaches but thought mice were cute. When she was on her period, I'd show up with a heating pad and chocolate. When she was stressed, I'd put on a dumb comedy to make her laugh. I even started Googling relationship advice, articles like how to comfort your girlfriend when she's upset, top 10 creative date ideas, and gifts your girlfriend actually wants. Liam, have you gotten suspiciously good at this boyfriend thing? Chloe asked one day, snuggled against my shoulder. Of course, I said proudly. I've been doing my research. I'm aiming to be the world's best boyfriend. Oh yeah? What has your research taught you? I began listing my findings. For example, when a girl is upset, you should never try to reason with her. You just have to comfort her. And when she says she doesn't want a gift, she actually does. And when she asks, "Do you love me?" you have to say yes immediately, no hesitation. Chloe started laughing. Liam, do you have any idea who writes those articles? No, they're all over the internet. They're written by guys who have probably never been in a successful relationship in their lives, she said, giggling. I was floored. So, everything I learned is useless. Not useless, but every girl is different, she said, reaching up to pinch my cheek. For example, when I'm upset, I actually appreciate it when you reason with me, because it shows you see me as an equal. And when I say I don't want a gift, I really mean it. Your time is more important to me than anything you could buy. Then, what am I supposed to do? Just be you. Listen with your heart, she said, planting a soft kiss on my cheek. Honestly, you were doing a great job without any of those guides. You remember all my little habits. You're always there when I need you. That comes from the heart, not from a web page. It was a revelation. There's no universal manual for love. Every person is unique. From that day on, I stopped trying to follow a script and focused on truly understanding Chloe. I discovered that what she loved most were the simple things. The quiet chats over breakfast, the comfortable silence while watching a movie, the feeling of holding hands while we walked. Liam, she asked me one day, have you ever thought about our future? All the time, I said without hesitation. I want to be with you forever. And how long is forever? A lifetime. She smiled. Do you have any specific plans? Like when we might get married, or buy a house, or have kids? I froze. Honestly, I hadn't thought about the specifics. I haven't gotten that far. It's okay. We can figure out together, she said gently. I just wanted to know if I have a place in your future plans. Of course you do, I said quickly. You are my future plans. Silly. I can't be your whole future. I can only be a part of it, she said, shaking her head. You have your career, your friends, your own hobbies. I want you to be a whole person who chooses to be with me, not someone who needs me to be whole. Her words hit me again. She was right. I still had that tendency to make a relationship my everything. First as a savior, and now as a boyfriend. I was still too dependent. What should I do? I asked. Just be yourself, she said softly. Have your own life, your own goals, your own friends. And then, on top of all that, we'll have each other. In the days that followed, I started working on building a more balanced life. I reconnected with some old college buddies and started showing up to their get-togethers. It was awkward at first. My social skills were rusty. But gradually, I remembered how good it felt to just hang out and talk with friends. Man, Liam, you're like a different person, my friend Mark said one night. We used to have to drag you out of your apartment. Now you're the one organizing things. Must be the girlfriend effect, another friend teased. It is, I admitted with a grin. She's taught me a lot. So when do we get to meet this miracle worker? Soon, I promise. I told Chloe about it when I got home. They want to meet me? She asked, a little nervous. What if they don't like me? Impossible. You're amazing. They'll love you. I reassured her. And even if they don't, who cares? I love you, and that's all that matters. Wow. Listen to Mr. Smooth, she said, playfully punching my chest. I learned from the best, I said, pulling her into a hug. But I meant every word. A week later, we all went out to dinner. Chloe wore a simple blue dress and looked stunning. Whoa, Liam, your girlfriend is gorgeous. Mark's girlfriend, Jess, whispered to me. Thank you, Chloe said, blushing slightly. But she quickly fell into easy conversation with everyone. She was a natural, a great storyteller, and an even better listener. So, Chloe, what do you do? Someone asked. I'm a copywriter in an ad agency, she replied. And how did you two meet? Chloe and I exchanged a knowing smile. Online, actually. You could call it a modern romance. No way. People still do that. Love is love, whether it's online or off, Chloe said with a laugh. The important thing is finding the right person. That night, my friends couldn't stop telling me how wonderful Chloe was and how lucky I was. See, I told you they'd love you, I said smugly on the way home. I was actually so nervous, she admitted, linking her arm through mine. I didn't want to embarrass you. You could never embarrass me. You were perfect. That's only because you were there with me. It makes me brave. Hearing that filled my chest with a warmth that had nothing to do with the summer air. Besides rebuilding my social life, I started picking up new hobbies. Chloe loved photography, so I started learning too. I was terrible at it, but I loved the way it forced me to see the world differently. Liam, what do you think of this one? She asked, showing me the camera's display. It was a picture of her, laughing as she pet a stray cat, the sun catching the side of her face. It's beautiful. You're beautiful, I said honestly. Okay, your turn to take one of me. I took the camera, suddenly clumsy. Just stand there. How do you want it to stand? She asked, striking a pose. Just be natural? What does natural even mean? She teased. I thought for a second, then put the camera down. I walked over to her and wrapped her in a hug. Like this. Just be yourself. I stepped back, raised the camera again, and clicked the shutter. The photo was perfect. She wasn't posing. She was just smiling, her eyes full of light, her face full of happiness. Wow, Liam, this is actually really good, she exclaimed when she saw it. That's because my subject is beautiful, I said, meaning it. She blushed, stood on her toes, and kissed my cheek. You're getting way too smooth. We also started cooking together more. We graduated from pot roast to barbecue ribs, chili, and even attempting to bake bread. We had plenty of failures, but being in the kitchen together always felt warm and right. Liam, are you sure you know the difference between the salt and sugar? Chloe asked one night, eyeing me suspiciously as I reached for a container. Of course I do. I'm not an idiot, I said confidently. The dish turned out to be sickeningly sweet. Liam, Chloe said, her face a mixture of confusion and amusement after one bite. What? Is it bad? I took a bite myself and nearly choked. Oh, I think I used the sugar instead of the salt. Chloe burst out laughing, doubling over. And you said you weren't an idiot. I was nervous. I defended myself. Cooking for you makes me nervous. Fine, I won't watch you next time. No, don't do that. I like having you here. She stopped laughing and met my eyes. Really, everything is more fun when you're here. In that moment, even with the strange, sweet smell filling the kitchen, all I could feel was the sweetness in my heart. Hashtag 3 months into our relationship, we had our first real fight. It started over something small. It was a Saturday, and we had plans to see a movie, but at the last minute, a critical bug came up at work, and I had to go into the office. Chloe, I'm so sorry. I don't think I can make the movie today, I told her over the phone. Work again. I could hear the disappointment in her voice. Yeah, a system crashed. I have to go fix it. Okay, I guess I'll just go by myself then. Or we could go another day, when I'm free. It's fine. Don't worry about it, she said flatly, and hung up. I didn't realize how upset she was and dove into my work. By the time I finished, it was past 9. I shot her text. Hey, just finished. What are you up to? A long time passed before she replied with a single word, sleeping. The next day, I asked if she wanted to hang out. She said she was busy. The day after that, same excuse. I finally realized something was wrong. Chloe, are you mad at me? I texted directly. No, she replied, her tone cold even through the screen. Then why won't you see me? I'm not avoiding you. I'm actually busy. I knew she was lying, but I didn't know what to do. Recalling my boyfriend research, I knew I was supposed to comfort her, not argue. So I bought her favorite bubble tea and went straight to her office building. Hey, I'm downstairs with a surprise for you. I texted. Thanks, but I'm in a meeting. Can't come down. I can wait. Don't. Just go home. I waited for 2 hours. She never came down. Eventually, one of her coworkers came to grab the drink. Hashtag 14 that night. I felt completely wronged. It's not like I won a crisis at work. I had apologized. I had brought her a peace offering, so why was she still giving me the cold shoulder? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. And so I started giving her the silent treatment, too. A week went by like that. Then I got a text from her. Liam, we need to talk. About what? I was still sulking. About us. Is there a problem with us? You really don't know? I hesitated. I don't know what I did wrong. It was a work emergency. I said I was sorry. Liam, do you really think I'm mad about the movie? Aren't you? Of course not, she texted, followed by a sighing emoji. I'm upset because you don't care about my feelings. How can you say that? I brought you bubble tea. Liam, do you know why I wanted to see that specific movie on that specific day? I stopped. I had no idea. It was the sequel to the first movie we ever talked about. Her text appeared, and that day was the 3-month anniversary of when we first started talking. I wanted to celebrate that with you. But when you canceled, you didn't ask if it was important, you didn't ask if it was a special day, and you barely even apologized. I read the message and felt a wave of shame wash over me. And then another text came through. You thought buying me a drink would fix everything, but you didn't even know why I was upset. That's not comforting me, Liam. That's just checking a box. I had no response. She was completely right. Hashtag 15. She wasn't mad that I missed the movie. She was hurt because I had been oblivious to her feelings, because I hadn't shown her that she and our relationship mattered. Chloe, I am so sorry. I typed, my apology finally sincere. I had no idea that day was so important to you. Liam, I don't expect you to put me before your job every single time, she replied. I just want you to consider my feelings. Even if you still have to choose work, at least let me know that I matter, that we matter. You do matter. You matter more than anything. Then why don't you ever show it? Her question hit me hard. I always felt like I loved her, but maybe I wasn't doing a very good job of making her feel loved. I don't know how I admit it. Love isn't something you just keep in your heart, Liam. You have to express it, she wrote. And expressing it isn't about buying things. It's about genuine care and consideration. That night, I did a lot of thinking. I realized I was still selfish in many ways, operating on my own terms and rarely stopping to consider her perspective. The next day, I bought 2 tickets for the movie and texted her. Chloe, are you free tonight? I'd love to see that movie with you. Tonight? She seemed surprised. Yeah, I know it's late, but I still want to watch it with you. I added a pleading emoji. I'm sorry, I didn't realize how important that day was. Liam. And from now on, I'll always talk to you before I make decisions like that. My job is important, but so are you. A moment later, she replied, Okay, let's go see the movie. That night at the theater, she rested her head on my shoulder, and I could feel the tension between us had melted away. Liam, she said after the movie, her arm linked in mine, thank you for listening to me, and for being willing to change. I should be thanking you, I said, squeezing her hand, for being patient enough to teach me how to love someone properly. After that fight, our relationship grew even stronger. I started learning how to be truly attentive, not just going through the motions, but genuinely caring about her world. Chloe, your big word presentation is tomorrow, right? Are you nervous? I asked. A little. I have to do this whole song and dance with my team, and I'm a terrible dancer. You're amazing at everything else. I'm sure you'll be great, I said. What if you mess up? I thought for a moment. How about a dress rehearsal? You can perform it for me, and I'll be your audience. Really? You don't know anything about dancing. I'm an expert at being your #1 fan, though. She laughed. Okay, fine. Private show just for you. She performed her part in our living room. She was a little clumsy, but her enthusiasm was infectious. So, how was I? She asked, breathless. You were fantastic. I applauded, especially that one move. Your expression was perfect. Really? I thought I looked ridiculous. You looked charming. And you know what? You have this incredible energy when you're performing. It's captivating. She blushed. You're just trying to make me feel better. I'm telling the truth, I said, pulling her into a hug. You need to believe in yourself, Chloe. In my eyes, you're the best at everything you do. The day of the presentation, she sent me a video. Their performance was a huge success, and she was radiant on stage. See? No mistakes, she said excitedly when she got home. Perfect. I gave her a thumbs up. My girlfriend is a star. Well, it helps when you have the best cheerleader, she grinned. It was in these small moments that our love deepened. When she was stressed with a deadline, I'd have dinner delivered so she wouldn't have to worry about it. When she fought with a friend, I'd listen and help her see a different perspective. Liam, Did you secretly take a course on how to be the perfect boyfriend? She asked me once. Nope. I just really want to make you happy. Then how do you always know what I need? I thought about it. I guess because I'm finally paying attention. Before, I was always thinking about what I wanted to do. Now, I find myself thinking about what you might need. Liam, she said, her eyes soft. You know that's what love is, right? What do you mean? Real love. It's being willing to change for someone. It's putting their needs in your heart and carrying them with you. She gently touched my face. That's how you love me now. Hearing her say that, I felt a profound sense of peace. This was it. This was love. Not some dramatic, sweeping romance, but the steady, quiet care of everyday life. Not about possession, but about support. 5 months later, our relationship felt as comfortable and solid as if we'd been together for years. How are you and Chloe so in sync? Mark asked me, envious. It's like you can read each other's minds. We just know each other really well, I guess, I said. And we talk. A lot. If something's on our mind, we say it. Communication, huh? It's everything. I used to think that if you really love someone, you should just know what they're thinking. But that's impossible. You have to use your words. Makes sense. Mark nodded. Do you guys ever fight? Of course, I laughed. But fighting isn't the problem. It's about whether you can solve the problem after the fight. And how do you do that? You listen. You admit when you're wrong. And you figure out a better way to do things together. Dude, you've really changed, Mark said, shaking his head in amazement. The old Liam would never have said any of this. He was right. I had changed. The old me ran from problems, from emotions, from responsibility. The new me had learned how to face them, how to own them, and how to love someone through them. And it was all because of Chloe. Hashtag 18 6 months into our relationship, we started having serious conversations about the future. Liam, have you thought about when you want to get married? She asked one lazy Sunday afternoon as we were curled up on the couch. I have, I said honestly, but I don't have a specific timeline. What about you? I was thinking maybe in another year, she said, resting her head on my chest. By then, we'll have known each other for 2 years. That seems like a good amount of time. A year, I calculated. I should probably start saving for a down payment on a house. Why do we have to buy a house? Don't you need a house to get married? I asked, confused. Liam, she sat up and looked at me. Do you think you need to own a house to marry me? Well, yeah. Of course not, she shook her head. A house is just a place to live. It's not a prerequisite for a life together. But where would we live? We could rent, or we could buy a small condo and upgrade later when we can afford it, she said, taking my hand. Liam, I want to marry you because I love you, not because you have a house. I was stunned. In my mind, marriage was tied to financial stability, a house, a car, savings. It was how you provided security. Chloe's words were completely reframing that for me. But aren't you worried about the future? I asked. Of course I worry, but I'm confident we can face it together, she said with a smile. Besides, we're doing great right now, aren't we? We might not have a lot of money, but we have each other. That's enough. Chloe, I was speechless with love for her. However, she said, her eyes twinkling, if you're serious about saving for a house, I can help. You'll help. Duh. We're a team, aren't we? We do it together. In that moment, I felt like the luckiest man on earth. From then on, we started planning our future together piece by piece. She took over our finances, creating a detailed budget. We tracked every dollar, cutting out unnecessary expenses. Liam, do you know you spend over $300 a month on DoorDash? She asked, holding up her spreadsheet. No way. It can't be that much. It is, which is why, starting tomorrow, we're cooking at home. And so began our culinary journey. After 2 months of trial and error, we became a decent kitchen team. Try this, I said one night, holding out a spoonful of chili. Her eyes lit up. Wow, this is amazing. Better than that place downtown. Really, she said, smiling. It has that homemade taste. What's a homemade taste? It's the taste of love, she said. The taste of something made with care. I finally understood. A home wasn't a building. It was a feeling. It was wherever she was. We talked about everything. How many kids do you want? 2, maybe. A boy and a girl. What if they're both boys? That's fine, as long as they're healthy. What if they're both girls? Even better. I hear daughters are the best. Do you really mean that? She asked, her voice soft. Of course. Any child of ours would be a gift. She hugged me tightly. You're a good man, Liam Carter. Hey, I said, a thought occurring to me. What about last names? They take your name, obviously. Why? They could take yours. Or we could hyphenate. Or one could have mine, and one could have yours. Her eyes widened. Really? You'd be okay with that? I love you, and I want you to be happy, I said, kissing her forehead. Besides, their last name doesn't matter. What matters is that we're a family, together. And just like that, step by step, we built our future. It was full of unknowns, but we weren't afraid. We knew that as long as we had each other, we could handle anything. A year later, we got married. The wedding was small and simple, just our families and closest friends. But it was filled with so much warmth, so much joy. Liam, do you take Chloe to be your wife, to have and to hold, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, to love and to cherish from this day forward? I do, I said, my eyes locked on Chloe in her white dress, my vision blurring with tears. And Chloe, do you take Liam to be your husband, to have and to hold, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, to love and to cherish from this day forward? I do, she whispered, tears already streaming down her face. As we exchanged rings, my mind flashed back to that afternoon in the coffee shop, to the awkwardness of our first meeting, and to the words she had said, "You need saving more than I ever did." I finally understood what she meant. She hadn't just saved me from my loneliness. She had saved me from my narrow view of life, of love, and of myself. And me? I thought I was saving her, but in reality, she was saving me right back. "Liam," she murmured that night, curled up in my arms. "Do you remember the first time we ever talked? Edo, you said you wished you weren't here." I really was in a bad place back then, she recalled. Even though I didn't have clinical depression, the pain was real. If I hadn't met you, I might have stayed stuck in that darkness for a long, long time. "So I did save you, huh?" I joked. "Yes, you saved me," she said, her voice serious. "But I saved you too." "How so?" "You saved the me who was lost," she said, tilting her head up to look at me. "And I saved the you who was lonely. We rescued each other, and then we grew up together. And now, do we still need rescuing?" "Now," she smiled. "Now we get to rescue our future. We get to rescue our love and make sure it never fades." "Okay," I said, holding her tighter. "Let's rescue our future together." Outside, the moon was full and the stars were bright. In each other's arms, we had found our true salvation. Not a one-sided rescue, but a mutual one. Not a fleeting passion, but a lifelong partnership. Not a perfect fairy tale, but a real, messy, beautiful life. In this story, there was no single hero and no single damsel in distress. We were just two people who became the light in each other's lives, illuminating the path forward. And now, hand in hand, we were walking toward a brighter future,